And the enemies of freedom are alive and well, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we're here every single day. Welcome in. If you're watching on YouTube and all of our channels, great to have you here. If you're on any of our affiliates around the country, the pleasure is all mine. On Greg's favorite day of the week, we're here in the CZ studios, filling your prescription for freedom today and every day on this Patriot Mobile microphone. And, of course, every bit of it is being brought to you today by the National Rifle Association. Join them, join us, please, nra.org/AAR, nra.org/AAR. Greg and Dallas, how you doing today on what is a very thundery, very loud afternoon here at the Armed American Radio Ranch? Yes, I have a ranch.
It sounds like you're getting what we sent over to you. It seems to be pretty quiet around here today.
Yeah, well, it's quiet there. That means it'll be quiet. Well, probably not. Not in the summertime, deep south. Nope, never is.
It changes its mind every 5 minutes.
Yeah, they've been some pretty rough storms, so I just want to let my affiliates know that. Hopefully we don't get any power knocked out. It's rare, but it could happen, and I do want to throw that out there. Greg's always got a backup lined up. So, Greg, tell everybody where they can watch the show today, and we'll get cracking with Paul Markel, student of the gun. And I got to tell you, if it goes as fast as it did yesterday, I know Paul's listening. Put your seatbelts on, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday's show just flew right by, and I have a feeling that's going to happen today. Go for it, Greg.
Yeah, sure. Places to watch the show. We're going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. You can head over to X and watch us at AAR Mark. You can always head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com. Hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
And there's Paul Markel sitting on his camera with us. There he is. We love it. Yeah, Paul Markel. Oh, hey, Paul, before I go to you real quick, I want to let people know we have a huge program lined up for you on Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. Before I forget to mention that, constitutional attorney Mark Smith will be joining me for the full hour in Hour 1, and Sarasota County Sheriff Kurt Hoffman will be joining me for the full hour in Hour Deuce. And, of course, that will be followed by discussion of those two previous hours with our classic Armed American Radio Roundtable, and we'll have a guest sitting in for Brad Primo, who is traveling to Spain this next 2 weeks. We're reaching out to a couple people. Jim Irvine can't make it this weekend, but he can make it next. So we'll likely have Neil McCabe sitting in with us on the Classic Roundtable. Paul Markel, student of the gun. How you doing, my brother? It's always good to see it's always good to see your voice on the radio. How you doing, man? That's a new one, right?
Oh, it's just going just fine. Yeah. Looks like we're going to get some weather this weekend, which is good because it's been unseasonably hot up here in the mountains.
Well, that's, Al Gore used to refer to that as global warming. I'm sure that's what it is. The planet is warming, and what else would you expect, Paul? You can always forget the fact that it's summertime and it gets hot in the summertime. There's always that. It's going to snow in the wintertime. Don't get angry, Mark, out of the box on a Friday. I'm looking forward to a fun weekend this weekend. At least I'm going to try, Paul. Where you want to go?
So what do you got?
Hey, Greg, you better cue some music here, man. I'm not really. We're both looking at each other on camera thinking, where are we going? How about I start with this? Paul, you've seen crime is down radically across the country. And I've oft wondered, where are the anti-gunners? Where are they?
Well, it's down in places you'd expect it to be, and then in places where you would not expect it to be, it's not. If you pay attention to any of the socialist media, you see the inner city urbanites behaving like animals in public, and it's always the blue cities, and it always has been, and. From the time I was a teenager, Mark, you're old enough to remember New York in the 70s.
Yeah, I am. I spent time in New York in the late 70s. I graduated I didn't graduate, but I went to high school in Wayne, New Jersey. I spent a number of years up in that area, know the city well. Yes, I was there during the Koch years when it was a nightmare. It was terrible.
It was horrible.
Yeah, it was awful.
It was horrible. And then Giuliani came in and fixed it, and then they're like, we don't need any more of that. So they got rid of him and started putting communists in there. And now they're setting people on fire in subway stations and, all that good stuff. But, the truth is if you don't live in a cesspool and in a Democrat-run blue city cesspool, things are generally pretty good.
They are. The problem are those of us that live in red states that border in a red state, blue cesspool cities. For example, Atlanta, which likes to lay claim to the entire state of Georgia, which bothers a lot of Georgia residents. In fact, it bothers all Georgia residents that don't happen to live in Fulton County. But they like to lay claim to Georgia itself. And if you remove the crime, as we've talked about almost ad nauseum here on the program over the years, Paul, if you remove the crime in that big blue city, Georgia's incredibly safe state, a beautiful place to live. The city itself, I don't go there. I don't go there. I have no reason to go there. In fact, in the years that I've lived here since 2005, my wife and I have talked about this on numerous occasions. Not once in 5 years have we said to each other, hey, let's do a date night. Let's go downtown. That has never come up. In fact, we do our level best to avoid it. I drive through it to get to the airport to fly out of it, Paul. What does that say? Let's kind of analyze that. What does that say when you think about that?
It says that you're a racist and, that you're just operating under your umbrella of white privilege. And, that's what it says. Yeah, the thing is, Mark, you're arguing with idiots. The idea that you could have, and that is where not most, but a lot of people on our side, where they err, shall we say, is they believe they're like, well, I'm a reasonable person and I'm willing to listen to, to dialogue or whatever. So the other side will be reasonable and we can dialogue with them too. No, you can't.
No.
Liberalism is a mental disease. That's not hyperbole. It is. When you take, we've talked about feminists that supported Bill Clinton. Mm-hmm. Mental disease.
Right.
Catholic Democrats who, support, abortion.
I've never understood. Never have I understood Jews voting Democrat en masse. Yeah, now tell us who that was, because those watching, that was your beautiful granddaughter. And
that's my beautiful granddaughter.
I hate
Ruth.
to admit this. That makes me feel older than I am when I see that, because I remember when she was born. I remember you sending me pictures when she was brand new. And here she is walking up to give Grandpa a kiss on camera. That was a beautiful thing. So tell her we said hello, and she looked great on camera. Congratulations. How old is she now?
Oh, she's 6.5.
Wow, I can't believe it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's not even talk about that right now. She's precious. She's got good.
No, but you're right. Getting back to liberalism is a mental disease. You've got feminists, supposed women's rights. People supported Bill Clinton. Mm-hmm. Just a serial abuser, and there's not even any doubt about that. But they also, it's not just Clinton. They supported Kennedy. Literally, you have to sacrifice whatever your supposed principles were. They go up on the altar and they're sacrificed to the Democrat Party, to socialism. Whether you're a Jew, whether you're a Catholic, whether you're claim to be a feminist or whatever, it's all sacrificed to the party, and that's by design. That's by design. The party uber alles.
Well, like I was saying before, your granddaughter walked in and interrupted us, in a good way, not a bad way. Let me rephrase that. Was that I've never understood Jews voting Democrat en masse. I never have understood that at all. When it is the Democrat Party that, supports everything they don't, and they're mortal enemies, avowed mortal enemies. I've never understood that. Now, how bad is it, ladies and gentlemen? Paul, I'm glad you brought that up. This was on my radar today. I had not intended on talking about this, but when you talk about it, it brings up a piece that was up on Fox News just yesterday I found fascinating. Lindsey Graham died a few days ago. I have my political differences with Lindsey Graham. He's a Republican. I'd rather have him in office than anybody with a D. But I had almost over many, many years a love-hate relationship, politically speaking, with Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is a politician I had never met and I've not personally spoken to, and he's never been a guest on this show. I had reached out to him on a number of occasions. However, after he passed away, of course, Donald Trump, President of the United States, ordered flags flown at half-staff across the country. When we come back from the break, I'll tell you, at least the ones I'm aware of, who said, yeah, okay. This is how partisan, this is how bad it is across the country, ladies and gentlemen. This will anger you when we come back. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense continues. I told you, I warned you, buckle in. These segments are going to fly. We've got 3 more left for Paul. Yeah, well, dim-witted Democrats, and just how bad it is, Paul. When you say liberalism is a mental disorder, you're absolutely correct. 3 states, one in particular was the headline on Fox News, but Cheryl, the governor of New Jersey, refused to lower the flags on behalf of Lindsey Graham this Steve. Not only was it her, it was also Hochul in New York, and it was Spanberger in Virginia. These governors refused the president's order to lower the flags when a politician died. Now, look, when you get to a point, Paul, that you're running a state and you can't put your partisanship aside to honor a colleague, what does that tell you? I see your arms up in the air. What does that say? Again, I'm asking that blanket question. What does it tell you?
What do those 3 people have in common?
They're all tyrants, and they're all Democrats.
Well, and
I know where you're going with this. They're all female.
And yeah, they're all females.
I don't know that matters because the most conservative people I know in my life are all female.
I'll give you the plausible deniability, Mark, and I'll go ahead and take the heat. It absolutely does matter. It absolutely does matter. And what we're seeing in these states, all right, Hochul was installed. They decided that for whatever reason they needed to get rid of Cuomo. And so, I mean, they didn't get rid of Cuomo because of violating the constitutional rights of the citizens. They love that. You know, they didn't care about the SAFE Act and all that. They're like, whatever. You know,
accusations of sexual misconduct is what he was that he left for. Of course,
they didn't care how many grandmas that he forced into the nursing homes full of COVID patients and ended up dying. They didn't care about that. None of that bothered them. But for whatever reason, they decided that they needed to install Hochul up there. And it's the same thing in Virginia. It's the exact same thing in Michigan. It's the same thing we've got going in New Jersey. These people are installed. If you believe naively that we're going to, like your New York, your Michigan, your New Jersey, we're going to vote our way out of this, sorry, bro, it's not happening because they don't look at what's going on in Maine.
Yo, it's a mess. What a mess. We'll go to Maine next. I'm glad you brought that up, too.
The idea that the people still laughingly believe that we have this democratic process, that the democratic process for that side of the aisle has been way about, 20 years ago at least. You know, the Wicked Witch of the West, when she installed her frizzy-haired lunatic friend to be the head of the DNC, that was it. You know, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about. But, when Hillary installed her frizzy-headed Wasserman.
Yeah, Wasserman Schultz out of South Florida. Yeah, it was Wasserman Schultz out of Florida.
When that lunatic, just look her in the eyes and tell me she's not a lunatic. When she installed her, had her installed as the head of the DNC, that was her guarantee that she was going to get the nomination. It didn't matter who else ran, the Bernies and the da-da-da. No. That was rigged from that moment forward. And then look at what just happened with the cackling alcoholic. So and again, we come back to liberalism is a mental disease. We have people that vote D and are registered Ds, and they're always talking about democracy and freedom, and Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. Blah, 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 blah. Like, hey, homeboy, who did you vote for in the 2024 presidential primary? Did your candidate get in there? But what do you mean? It's like, yeah, what do I mean? What do I mean is, see, but they want to talk about democracy, but then when the party just handpicks an insider candidate for them, then they don't want to talk about democracy anymore. They're like, well, Trump is a Nazi. Again, you've got to sacrifice. You know, they talk about democracy and freedom and whatever, and their own party's like, yeah, you could, whatever. We don't need your input. We're going to choose whoever we want to choose. That's it. Go away.
Well, you know, look, you mentioned that you would give me plausible deniability. I would respectfully say I don't need plausible deniability. Here's why. Because I do stand by that. I've made the comment many, many, many times. I know exactly where you're coming from here. There's something else I want to point out. Besides the fact they're all tyrants, all of them are gun-hating freaks. Every single one of them are rights-hating freaks. And, Paul, you know Alan Corwin. You and I have both known Alan Corwin for many years. He hasn't been on the show in a long time. Alan used to say on a fairly regular basis, he had a number of great comments, but he said, it's not really anti-gun when you say they're anti-gun. He said, you want to paint them as anti-rights, not anti-gun, Mark. Because being anti-gun in America is being anti-rights. And that's what they are. That's what makes them tyrants. All three of them share that commonality. They all do. But I point this out because the most conservative people in my life, personally, are women. The women in my life. My sister-in-law, my niece, my daughter, my wife, incredibly conservative. And a lot of friends of mine whose wives are very conservative as well. So I don't like to lump that together and paint that with a broad brush. However, when it comes to the Democrat Party, you are correct. There is a correlation. We have gun control
in America because of activist women.
Well, in the suburbs, that's absolutely correct.
Go back to the 20s.
Liberal suburban
women.
women.
1920s. We have gun control in America because the Democrat Party, the left, the socialists, the communists, figured out how to weaponize women's emotions.
Suburban, metropolitan women. Don't believe me? See Northern Virginia and every single major suburb surrounding a blue city. Paul is spot on. We'll be right back. We have 2 segments to go. Keep that seatbelt buckled, guys. Point something out relative to what you were talking about as far as that voting block is concerned. Paul, you're absolutely 100,000 gobzillion% correct. That is a major Democrat voting block that they seek actively in every single election, and that is liberal, white, suburban women. You are absolutely spot on. In fact, it's so bona fide, creds, that the Republicans have been trying to make headway into that particular voting block. White, liberal, suburban women to try to change their minds and move them back to the Republican Party. So you are spot on that assessment. I just want to make that point, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely 100,000 gobzillion% accurate. And in this case, the 3 that we're talking about here, interestingly, neighboring state Delaware, Governor Matt Myers, Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania, and this also includes California, Colorado, and Maryland, all lowered their flags at half-staff. So it speaks volumes when we're at a point in America now that we can't honor. Now, Paul, how bad does it get? I'm going to take you to West Palm Beach. You're familiar with the fact that West Palm Beach International has now been renamed Donald J. Trump International, correct?
No, I was not aware of that.
Yeah, check this out. Check this out. True story. True dat. Wouldn't BS you here, brother. United Airlines is allowing passengers who refuse to land at an airport named Donald Trump International Airport at no additional charge to land at a neighboring airport at no additional cost to them because they don't like the President of the United States of America. This is the most asinine. I mean, this is where we are in the country today, ladies and gentlemen. And if you think for one split second that these people are interested in having a dialogue with you, they won't even land at an airport named Donald Trump. The backlash to some of the airlines, United has capitulated. I don't fly United, but I can tell you this. I won't. I have no reason to ever fly them. In fact, I don't think I have ever flown them, to be honest with you, particularly out of Atlanta. It's all Delta. But have you ever seen anything like this, Paul? I'm not going to land at Donald J. Trump. Who doesn't? Who refuses to land at Reagan International Airport in D.C.?
We land in LaGuardia. We land in O'Hare.
I mean, come on. I've landed at Clinton Airport before in Arkansas. Come on. Harry Reid International in Vegas.
You flew into Mena? You fly into Mena?
No, I didn't fly into Mena.
That's where all the bodies are buried.
Yeah. And they know who dug the holes, bro. Not just where the bodies are buried.
Yeah, they know who dug the holes. They know who buried who's in the bodies. And for you young kids, they're like, Mena? Where's that Mena? I don't know. It's like, Don't even worry about it. Just move on with your
Go
life.
watch the Tom Cruise movie where he played the drug dealer.
Go update your TikTok account. But no, I mean, that again, liberalism is a mental disorder, and it's such a mental disorder that you have people, and you have an industry. I actually, I saw. Yeah, you're probably of my age where the algorithm pushes things, nostalgia to you.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember when Donald and Ivana Trump did a Pizza Hut commercial?
Oh gosh, I do not.
It was I think it was Pizza Hut, but it was back when he was married to Ivana.
Okay.
And I think it was a Pizza Hut commercial. But the fact of the matter is, the left did not have a problem with Donald J. Trump until the party told them to.
Correct. In fact, they loved him.
Until 2015, they loved him.
They loved him. They loved him till he came down the escalator. They couldn't wait to get on his show. They loved him. He donated to everybody. Right.
Yeah, and that is and the thing is, if you could get a hold of an intellectually honest Democrat, one who's in their 40s or 50s, say, okay, were you aware of the existence of Donald Trump before 2015?
Well, I knew who he was. I used to watch his shows. Yeah, I know everybody knows who Donald Trump is. He's the real estate guy.
And like, okay, well,
billionaire.
What was your feeling about him? Did you hate him? Did you despise him? Was he the devil incarnate? No, he wasn't. He wasn't until your party told you that you had to hate him. We could sit here all day. We could do an entire hour show just mounting evidence of how being a registered Democrat is literally it's the definition of insanity. And movie stars, they're all those hypocrite scumbags. If you wanted to go back to the 90s or the early 2000s to the award shows or the red carpet ceremonies or whatever, if Donald Trump was there, they couldn't wait to get in on a photo op with him.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't wait.
True story.
Until their party issued them the memorandum, you have to hate him.
Now, what does this have to do with guns? What does this have to do with guns, ladies and gentlemen? It has everything to do with guns. What party, remind listeners, Paul, what party wants to take our guns?
It's not the Republican Party.
Now, imagine your governor being Mickey Sherrill in New Jersey. Imagine your governor being Spanberger in Virginia. Imagine your governor being Hochul. I mean, these are just rotten to the core, hate-fueled, evil people, ladies and gentlemen, as evidenced by their refusal to lower a flag to honor somebody. They just simply won't do it because they literally, truly hate. That's why they do this. These are the people who want to take your firearms. Imagine what these people would do to you if they were successful. They won't even lower a flag. Imagine what they're capable of doing to you if they had you completely disarmed. That is an absolute legitimate question, and I see you shaking your head yes. Care to comment?
Well, let's go ahead and talk about when you and I were kids, and very rarely were the flags lowered. It was extremely rare. Like if you were in elementary school or junior high or whatever, and the flag was half-mast, you're like, "Whoa, this is strange."
You usually remembered where you were at that time when that happened. You're correct.
Yeah, because they're like, "Oh, well, the president died," or whatever. But it was extremely rare. And then, of course, when you were in elementary school, whatever, your teachers explained it to you. You're like, "Oh, well, as part of the to honor it in for the whole country." To lower the flag, you needed to be a person who contributed, right? Like a president or a senator or an astronaut or somebody like that, right? You didn't lower the flag to half-mast because somebody got shot in Chicago, right? You didn't lower the flag. It wasn't until Comrade Barry came in, and that was part of the whole humiliation ritual for the country, where Comrade Barry started ordering the flags half-mast for murder victims.
Yep. Hold that thought, Paul. We're going to take a break. Paul knows the routine when he hears the music. Yeah, you're absolutely correct about that. What this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is yet again evidence of just flat out America-hating, un-American behavior
Tim?
that truly. Paul Markel, student of the gun, welcome back in. Man, I warned you it was going to fly right by, brother. It always does.
Ask me what I've been doing with my time lately.
What have you been doing with your time lately?
I've been working on this new book.
How many is that? Do you even know anymore? I kid you about that all the time.
No, it's less than 100. It's more than one, less than 100. No, I just got the proof copies. These were just delivered.
Nice.
It's called
Congrats.
Super Lab, Application of the Scientific Method to Firearms Training, and this is a proof copy, so I have to proof this sucker, do the final edit, and then I'm hoping for August 1st for a release date.
So I'm going to ask you publicly, when you're done with that, would you sign the proof copy and send it to moi?
Only if you promise to read it.
I read everything you send me. I absolutely will. You know, that's one thing I enjoy doing. There's a lot of hosts out there, and I won't name names, some of them on very large networks, that when they have authors on, don't read the books. I actually read the book of the guest as an author to talk about the book. I actually read the book. And I'm proud of that, by the way. I would hope when my books came out that when I was a guest that somebody had actually read the book, you know. You put a lot of time and effort into that. And guys, Paul's not kidding. When he says less than 100 more than one, that's accurate. I'm going to put it at probably 30 or 40 if I had to guess.
Oh, it's way north of 40.
Is it way north of 40?
Yeah, it's way north of 40. But I'll give you a hint. An author friend of mine, he said, he goes, if you want your friends to read your books, because they won't. He said, but if you want to try and get them to read, he goes, on the signature page, you put, Dear Mark, I really think you'll appreciate what I wrote on page 53. And then you turn to page 53 and you highlight it and you write, start reading here, Mark. And then you send it.
Great idea.
So at very least,
you know,
they'll read that page.
Paul, my favorite book of mine, and I only have 3 books out, is Grilling While Armed. I'm really proud of that work. It was a lot of fun to do, and it was very well received. And I kind of do the same thing without thinking about it in those terms, because I send people right to the smoked meatloaf recipe. Okay, get them hooked on the smoked meatloaf recipe, and they're going to go to the rest of them. I can promise you that, because they're all good. But that smoked meatloaf is really good. So I kind of do that anyway, without really thinking about that. But now that I know, nice psychological tactic there, Professor. What's going on with you? What do you got in the training world that you can tell us about in the final segment? Because it's going to rip right by.
Well, you know, we have several classes that people can enroll in and can start training right now through Student of the Gun University, SOTGU.com. I don't know if one of your, Zachary, I was talking to him on the phone the other day, and he goes, oh, Dad, somebody just signed up for the pistol class. I don't know if it was after, it might have been right after we were on air together. So, hey, if so, great. If you guys are out there taking advantage of the promo code, that's awesome.
Use it.
Save yourself some money.
Yeah, you have 15% off.
Start training.
SOTGU.com/AAR. Guys, you're not signing up to have to spend $8,000 and send thousands of rounds of ammo and travel and hotels to go hang out with Paul. This is an online course, ladies and gentlemen. And then you can use that.
You should want to do those other things,
right?
But to start.
Well, yeah, but look, people's time is very valuable, particularly right now. And I was up against that myself. I remember back years ago when I'm talking years ago, well over 35 years ago, when I started really getting into firearms and really started getting into my training all those years ago, I was very intimidated. I wanted desperately to go to not Front Sight. Which one was it? Down in Gun Sight. Yeah, in Texas, right?
In Arizona.
Arizona. And what was the one in Texas that?
That was Clint Smith's original.
Thunder Ranch.
Thunder Ranch.
Yeah, it was drawing a blank
Thunder
there.
Ranch, Texas.
But yeah. I would watch these videos and I would watch the television shows, and it seemed very, very intimidating to me back in the day. And I don't know if you remember Tiger McKee. Do you remember Tiger McKee?
Oh, yeah.
From Shoot Right. He was just down the road from me in Alabama in a beautiful facility. Tiger and I became good friends. And I brought him on the program a number of times, and he brought me out for one-on-one training. And that really opened my eyes. And I had taken a lot of firearms training before that, but I took one-on-one training with him and had a fantastic time. And boy, I'll tell you, when I left that class for a full day doing pistol, combat, and rifle, and running what they used to call running the boards for those AR-15s on that class, that was exhausting. There's no question about it. I've been very blessed to take some training from some of the best instructors in the world. And Paul, I hate to say this, I've not yet trained with you, but I really, and if somebody said to me today, what's the one class you want to take with Paul Markel, it's going to be your long range, your rifle. That's the class I want to take with you.
Yeah, that's a unique one, and it's something that it's hard to do east of the Mississippi, just because we stretch it out up here. I mean, we generally get our students have the equipment and the ability. We always get them to 1,000 yards. Yeah, and sometimes we'll get them to a mile. So
that's some of my funnest training. I was down at Fort, I believe it was it Fort Bliss, Greg, in Texas at El Paso? I was down at Fort Bliss, and I was doing some long-range pistol shooting, and I really enjoyed it, shooting out at a couple hundred yards.
Bliss is Oklahoma, I think.
Bliss is Oklahoma, whichever it is, down there in El Paso. I forget.
Yep. I'm blanking too.
Yeah, I'm blanking out on it, but that's okay, guys. It's a military base down in El Paso. But the range is open to the public down there, and you could shoot out to a couple hundred yards. Well, a lot of fun. Long-range pistol's a lot of fun too, Paul. It's very challenging. I found out which guns I was keeping and which guns I wasn't when I got back from El Paso. I can promise you that. And I will say this. I
60.
kept the Glock 17 I kept. And I still have that very gun today, and I love it. It's like an old worn-out pair of jeans to me. It just is. I'm good with it, and it's good with me, you know.
We went almost the entire show without saying the G word.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
this time.
Yeah, we did. Usually we're talking about it in context of Democrats banning.
We don't want, told you we need to start calling Glock 17s, we need to call them modern sporting
30.
That way the Democrats will leave us alone.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do your job for you because we're running out of time. It's sotgu.com/AAR. Paul Markel, student of the gun. We love you, man. You're a fan favorite for a reason. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't done it yet, like us over on YouTube, subscribe to us over there, please. The channel is growing like a weed, and it's because of you, and we appreciate it. We've got a huge monster cast coming up. Sheriff Kurt Hoffman, constitutional attorney Mark Smith. Enjoy your weekend. See you on the radio Sunday.